Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and today I'm once again going to be setting my lineups across my fantasy football leagues. We've been doing this all season long, every week, just to give you guys an insight into what is going on in some real-life fantasy football leagues, and to just give you some insight into sort of my decision-making process. My setup is a little bit different today. I'm at home for the holidays, so I'm away from my PC setup where I normally record, but we're making do with what we have. And yeah, it's week 16 of the 2021 fantasy football season, so we have some playoff action to get into. So I'm going to recap the league, go over the transactions, and then get into setting the lineup. I'm going to do that for each league. So as usual, let's get right into it. So this is the first league. This is a redraft league. Last week I had a first round bye. So quickly, just taking a quick look at the box score. I did set my lineup in this league for you guys. It didn't go very well. Tom Brady had a horrible game. A.J. Dillon, 9.5. Rhamondre Stevenson in his start didn't do much. DJ Moore was pedestrian. Debo had a good game as usual. Mark Andrews went crazy. I hope he does that again this week. And Montgomery did all right. So nothing too crazy there. Tyler Boyd had a big game on my bench. I know he had a big receiving touchdown. Jeff Wilson had a big game on my bench as well. We will talk about him in a little bit. And the Saints defense did pretty well. Very well, actually. So, yeah. That was last week. In terms of transactions I have made since then. How far back do we need to go? So, these are the transactions I made recently. So I dropped Amon-Ra St. Brown last week, and then of course he got picked up this week for like $100 fab because he was a stud. So I did go ahead and add a couple defenses. I talked about it in my last video, but I like to stock up on defenses at the end of the year come playoff time so that you have a bunch of options to play at that defensive position. You can plan it weeks ahead of time so you always have a good option, and it also keeps defenses away from your opponents. So I did add the Saints defense. I think I planned on playing them, was it week 17 against Carolina? That's a very good option that I might have if I do make it to the championship. So that's why I added them just a little bit ahead of time. Unfortunately, I did drop Amon-Ra St. Brown as a result, and he did get picked up this week on waivers for $100 fab. We have a $200 fab budget. But last I heard, Jared Goff, their starting quarterback for the Lions, is not likely to play. So that makes starting Amon-Ra St. Brown a little risky anyway, so I'm not too worried about the fact that I dropped him. I did pick up Gabriel Davis and drop Sterling Shepard, who is on injured reserve, but then Gabriel Davis got put on the COVID list. So I also dropped Kadarius Toney, and at some point I added Kadarius Toney back and dropped Gabriel Davis. So nothing too crazy in terms of transactions. And then this is our matchup for this week. So we are in the semifinals, and I got off to a nice start. I did play Jeff Wilson and Deebo Samuel. Deebo had 19.1 points. Jeff Wilson had 11.7. This is a non-PPR league, by the way, just a standard league. And Jeff Wilson did get in the end zone, so that was great. I was really deciding between, there's a group of guys, Rhamondre Stevenson, A.J. Dillon, Jeff Wilson. I also have DJ Moore on my team, who I wasn't sure if I was going to play because I know I'm starting Antonio Brown and Deebo. So it's like, do I then flex DJ Moore because he's questionable? He's a game time decision. His quarterback play has been pretty bad. How does that go in with all these other running back options I have? So I decided to go ahead and play Jeff Wilson on Thursday night just because I knew he was going to be the main back with Elijah Mitchell out, coming off of a good game. And even though it was a tough matchup against Tennessee, A.J. Dillon, he's in a committee with Aaron Jones. Rhamondre Stevenson was questionable, and I'm glad I played Jeff Wilson, not only because he did well, but Rhamondre Stevenson has since been put on the COVID list, and I believe he will not play. And DJ Moore is still questionable, probably a game-time decision, and I probably won't be starting him. So speaking of who we're going to start, let's get into setting this lineup. So this is pretty much the lineup that I have set right now. Tom Brady against Carolina. He is going to be without Chris Godwin, and I heard Mike Evans is out for the game, or at least he's pretty sure going to be out. He is getting Antonio Brown back, though, and so is our fantasy team, just in the nick of time. We do need that. So, I don't like it, but I wish Tom Brady had his full arsenal of weapons, but he has Antonio Brown, he has Gronk, and coming off of that bad game against the Saints, I'm just hoping he bounces back against the Carolina Panthers, who have been pretty solid against fantasy quarterbacks on the season. Obviously, we started Jeff Wilson and Deebo. Okay, so the only real tough decision here, because Antonio Brown's a lock, Mark Andrews is a lock, David Montgomery against Seattle, that is a great matchup, and I think David Montgomery, he's been solid lately, but I think he could have a big game here if he can finally get in the end zone. He hasn't been in the end zone a lot lately, but I think he could find it in this game. So the only real decision left is, what do we do with, A.J. Dillon, DJ Moore? I could put David Montgomery in the running back spot and then flex DJ Moore. Long story short, since I do have a nice little lead, I'm gonna go risk averse here. I'm gonna avoid the risk of DJ Moore. It's a bad offense right now. The Panthers look horrible, and yes, DJ Moore has been solid for fantasy lately. I'll just take a quick look at his points here. The last handful of weeks, he's actually been okay. 10.3, bye week 8.4, 6.8, hit 11 before the 10.3 game. So he's been okay, but just with his injury, it's a hamstring injury. Even if he plays, who knows if he'll be limited. He could always re-aggravate it. Just because I had the nice start to the week, I'm going to go with A.J. Dillon, who even though he's in a committee, he is always a threat to score. And I think that the Packers will be leading this game against the Browns. And we might see them kind of win the game through the air early in the game. But then in the fourth quarter, I think we could see the Packers kind of hand the ball off quite a bit. So that's where A.J. Dillon could thrive. And I'm just hoping he has a solid game. If he gets in the end zone, I'm happy. And yeah, this is pretty much the lineup here. If I do make any changes, like if I do decide to put DJ Moore in the lineup for some reason, I'll comment it down below and put it in the description. But yeah, this is the lineup as of now. And plus, A.J. Dillon is playing today on Saturday in like an hour and a half. So I don't have the luxury of waiting, like, okay, because DJ Moore is playing on Sunday. So I can't wait until Sunday to decide, do I play Dillon or Moore? I have to make a decision today, right now. So I'm just going to put Dillon in there. Just go with the, the safe bet, the automatic player who we know is playing, as long as he doesn't get injured in the game, knock on wood. So that is that league. This is a league where I did not make the playoffs, unfortunately. This is a 2-quarterback league. This is also a redraft league. This was an auction draft, as you guys know if you've been following along. We did win last week. I still set my lineup because I did have a chance to make the playoffs. 4 teams made it. We finished as the 5th seed. I'll go over that in a minute, but we did win. Kyler had a bad game. Robinson finally had to bounce back, which I expected. I do make stardom sit-em videos, and I predicted James Robinson would have a good game last week, and he did. I also talk about him in this week's video, so make sure to go check that out if you haven't yet. James Conner did all right. Devontae Adams had a good game. DJ Moore was okay. Travis Kelce really had a huge game. Aaron Jones did all right. And yeah, those were the main players. I really was deciding between Michael Gallup and Russell Gage. I ended up going with Gallup, and Russell Gage was definitely the play there, so I messed that up. But you know what? We won anyways, but either way, it doesn't matter because we missed the playoffs. Here's a quick look at the standings in this league, just because we've been talking about these leagues, right? You probably want to know how they finished. So in this league, the playoffs are it's weeks 17 and 18. So they're just starting this week. So it's only the top 4 teams that make it. We were 1 game back. There were a lot of scenarios where we could have made it. One in particular is I did lose a matchup a few weeks ago where it was that game where we weren't sure if Aaron Jones was going to play. He was a game time decision. I had A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on my team. Dillon was in my lineup. Once Aaron Jones was ruled active, I made the switch. I put Aaron Jones in for A.J. Dillon, and then A.J. Dillon vastly outscored Aaron Jones, and I lost directly as a result of that. And that alone was the 1 game difference, because if I was 9-6, it was against Team Krabby, so it's not like, it was against any of the playoff teams where it would have changed their records at all. And if you look at the points scored, like, I was 5th, and I had more than the wide left extremists, so I would have knocked them out and been the 4 seed, it looks like. Yeah, so that is really unfortunate, but you know what? This is the 3rd year of that league. We made the championship both of the first years. We won one of them, so we'll let someone else have a shot at the title this year. We'll be back next year, no doubt. And yeah, taking a look at the transactions I made. I didn't click on myself. Whoa. I'm recording this on a MacBook. Give me a break here. So I added Ronald Jones for $0 fab dollars. Apparently no one wanted him. Interesting. I got him, and I will be starting him. He's a great start this week. And then I added Noah Fant off of waiver wires, not because I like Noah Fant, but because I might be without Travis Kelce. So taking a quick look, this is what we have so far this week. I went against Jeff Wilson, who had a solid game, as we talked about. I had to play Ryan Tannehill. He had 14.5 points. Honestly, I'll take that. My quarterbacks have just been bad this year in this league. One of the reasons why I really struggled to make the playoffs. What is going on? Okay, so let's set the lineup here. So Ryan Tannehill already played. This one is pretty straightforward, honestly. James Robinson is an RB1 against the Jets. Great matchup, great player. He'll see volume, hopefully, so that's a smash play. I'm playing Aaron Jones today. I do have A.J. Dillon. I'm going to play Aaron Jones just because I do think the Packers will lean more on the pass. I think maybe Aaron Jones will see a few dump-offs here. And just in general, it's hard to predict with those two, but Aaron Jones, to me, still has the slight advantage over Dillon. It's not a great matchup, but that's just what I'm going to go with. Then Ronald Jones, he's getting the start with Leonard Fournette out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was also without some wide receiver options. So I think Ronald Jones is a great play, nice little running back one play. This was a tough decision because, you know, you look at the guys I started. I have James Conner, who last I heard is going to play tonight against the Colts, but it's a tough matchup. He's dealing with an injury. Chase Edmonds is back. You know, he's obviously always a threat to get in the end zone, but we just don't know if that's going to happen. Plus, the Cardinals just got destroyed by the Lions. Their offense didn't look very good there, so maybe they'll bounce back. But just with the options I have, I like my options better than James Conner, although Conner is not a bad play by any means. I talked about A.J. Dillon a lot already. Sony Michel, I heard Darrel Henderson should be active, so I think Sony Michel is kind of taking over as their lead back, it looks like. But, you know, just with the timeshare, I'm just going to go with, you know, Jones, Robinson, and Ronald Jones. And then at wide receiver, Devontae Adams is obviously an every week play. Russell Gage has been awesome lately. I'm going to keep rolling with him. I'm not going to have him on my bench again this week. I made that mistake last week. And then DJ Moore, I have him in there as of now, just because I don't have too many better options. If he plays, I'm going to start him. If not, you know, I might have to pivot to Michael Gallup. Amon-Ra St. Brown would be my pivot option, but like I said, if Jared Goff is out, you know, a backup quarterback for the Lions throwing to St. Brown, that might be risky. So we'll have to see. Again, I'll comment it down below if I change anything, but hopefully DJ Moore just ends up playing. And then, like I said, I have Noah Fant in there because Travis Kelce is on the COVID list. Obviously, if Kelce is made active, I will immediately drop Noah Fant, activate Travis Kelce, and put him in the lineup. So that's simple. And then at quarterback, I also have Kyler Murray just because, you know, even though he struggled, he's my best option. So yeah, we missed the playoffs in that league, but it is what it is. So this is a full PPR league, also a redraft league, also a Superflex league, just like the last one. And we are in the playoffs in this league. In this league, each playoff round is 2 weeks. So it started last week, and this was the week in week 15, and this was how we did. We got off to a nice lead there. Mahomes did well. Patterson and Stevenson didn't do much. Julio goosed. Renfrow didn't do very well. Josh Allen did pretty well. Dalvin Cook did okay. I mean, you know, Mooney did all right. Not a lot of great weeks, honestly. Some bad weeks, but my opponent had a lot of inactive players in his lineup. In fact, Thielen, Waddle, and Waller. Interesting. I'm not sure how this person made the playoffs, but they did. Rashad Bateman, 1.5. And then for week 16, which is the current week, obviously. Bro, this is so slow. Here, let's just... I'll talk about this week. Okay, here we go. He played Jimmy Garoppolo, and my goodness, dude. I had A.J. Brown on my bench. He was actually dropped in this league. I picked him up off of waivers, and I thought, let's see how he plays his first week back. Dude went ballistic, man, against the 49ers on Thursday night. You might be thinking, why would you sit him, man? He's an auto start. Well, I picked him up off of waivers, and I figured, you know what? I'm just going to see. I had him on my IR. I activated him. Like, let's just see how it goes. And if you look at my options, Tyler Lockett, he's been hot lately. Antonio Brown, he should be the number one receiver in Tampa Bay with all the injuries they have. And Hunter Renfrow, he's just been an automatic just money machine. And it's a full PPR league, like I said. So Renfrow is extra good in this league with all the catches he gets. So A.J. Brown wasn't an auto start for me. Obviously, if I had a time machine, I would go back and play him. But I don't. So that's pain. And then looking at our transactions we made recently, I added Cole Kmet just because we lost TJ Hawkinson. I also added Ronald Jones, and I dropped Julio because Julio's, I think he's done, bro. I think he's done. I wasn't going to play him against the 49ers. He didn't do anything in that game. I'm not going to play him next week. You know, it's this kind of thing where, you know, it's just a name. I also got him off of waivers too because he was dropped. So I don't have like an emotional attachment to that with like draft capital or anything. But yeah, this is where we stand so far. I wish we had a more dominant lead. We are projected to win, but it's not over. We could still lose this, which sucks because he had many inactive players in his lineup. So we really have to lock it in here. Get it? Lock it. Tyler Lockett. Lol. But yeah, I wish I played A.J. Brown. But this week, I have Josh Allen in there. Dalvin Cook is out, but luckily I handcuffed him with Alexander Madison, so Madison is in. Cordero Patterson, I expect to bounce back against Detroit. And then Ronald Jones, I love him this week. Cole Kmet at tight end with Hawkinson out. And yeah, I already talked about it. I did not play A.J. Brown. I went with Lockett, Antonio Brown, and Hunter Renfrow. Even though A.J. Brown went off, hopefully these guys can do some work as well so that I don't miss out on too many points benching A.J. Brown. And then Mahomes, last I heard Tyreek Hill was activated. He passed the COVID protocol, so I think he should be playing. So that's huge. If Mahomes was missing both Hill and Kelsey, I would put Jalen Hurts in. But if Mahomes has Kelsey back, or Tyreek Hill back, I'm leaning Mahomes. I'll wait to see what the news is with Kelsey, but as of now, I'm leaning Mahomes. If I make any changes, like I said, I'll comment it down below. And yeah, I got the Cowboys defense against Washington. Here's my kicker, punter, head coach. We have those in this league just because it's a fun, free league. I'm not touching Russell Wilson. He's been so inconsistent. Rhamondre Stevenson is out. The only real tough decision here was what to do with Miles Sanders. I really, really like this player. I made a video about trading for him a while back, and I think that call is going to work out very well. He's been good the last couple of weeks, and he has a good matchup with the Giants. But, I picked up Ronald Jones, and even though it's a worse matchup, I just love his opportunity. It's tough. I have this same exact decision to make in another league. I don't know. We could just split the difference and start. We could start Miles Sanders in this league, and then start Ronald Jones in the other league. But as of now, I'm going with Rojo. I'll comment down below if I make any changes. But that's that league. And then finally, this is our Dynasty League. This is our baby here. Let's take a look at. This was last week, right? Yep, this was last week. So this was week 15. I had a first round bye, but I still set my lineup. Obviously, Tom Brady had a bad game, but Jonathan Taylor did what he did, had a great game. James Robinson did well. Mixon continued to not do too great, but Miles Sanders, like I talked about, he had a nice game. Chris Godwin, in that blowout loss, got put on injured reserve with an ACL injury, so that sucks. Mike Williams, pedestrian. Claypool, not much. Kittle did well. So yeah, that is really, really unfortunate that we have so many injuries in this league. Looking at the transactions, what have we done lately? I don't even know if I've really made any moves. I think I cut Big Ben. Yeah, and I added Brashad Perriman. Just because, I lost Chris Godwin. Obviously, Perriman is not going to replace that value, but as another wide receiver in Tampa Bay, he should have to step up if he clears COVID protocols eventually. And yeah, this is our matchup for this week. The one person I played already was George Kittle, and he busted on Thursday Night Football, so that really, really is unfortunate. But if you take a look at, my opponent is missing Fournette, he's missing Mike Evans, Julio is on his team, but he's not really a factor. And he's missing Derrick Henry and DJ Chark as well. So he's dealing with a lot of stuff as well. Adam Thielen is questionable. He may or may not play. Gibson is questionable. Tyreek Hill, we weren't sure if he was going to play, but I heard he passed the COVID protocol, so he should be active. So my opponent is going through it, whereas, my team is also going through a lot of stuff. Just going through the list. McKissick, IR. Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, out for the season. Marvin Jones has been doing nothing. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, you can't play them right now. Calvin Ridley, injured reserve. So we're going through a lot as well, but that's fantasy football, and that's especially this year. There's a lot of stuff like that going on. So this is the lineup that I have set right now. Tom Brady, he's my guy. Jonathan Taylor against the Cardinals, I love that. You always play Jonathan Taylor. I don't care if he's playing the steel curtain from back in the day. You're playing Jonathan Taylor. James Robinson against the Jets, he's a smash play. Joe Mixon, I'm playing him against Baltimore, even though it's a tough matchup on the ground, and he hasn't been great lately. I was considering playing Miles Sanders over him, and dude, I still don't know. It's just like Joe Mixon got me here. I traded for him in the offseason, and he's been great. I just feel like I have to get Miles Sanders in one lineup because I like him so much this week, but it's hard to bench Mixon just because he's such a threat to score. I don't know, man. We'll see. Again, I'll comment down below if I change anything. And I have Ronald Jones in here. Yeah, those are my four running. I got 2 running backs and 2 flexes there, and then a wide receiver with all the guys I'm missing: Godwin, Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. Some of the guys that I expected to be good and not do anything. I traded Deebo Samuel away for Chase Claypool in the offseason, and Deebo's been so much better. So my wide receiver options are pretty weak right now, but I did trade for Antonio Brown late in the season this season, so we have him. That is good. And honestly, with Chris Godwin out, Antonio Brown coming back, hopefully that's just an even trade right there. Mike Williams has been inconsistent, but he's my best option I have right now against Houston. Hopefully he has a big play. And then Chase Claypool, I don't want to play him, but I kind of have to. I have no better options. And I am playing the Chargers against Houston. That's a pretty good matchup for a pretty good defense. Obviously, if I could play Miles Sanders over, Chase Claypool, I would, but we only have 2 flexes and 2 running back, 3 wide receivers. So, yeah. if you just look at my options, I really don't have anyone better. If I could go back in time, I would play Dallas Goedert over George Kittle, but at the time, you wouldn't really do that. But Kittle's an auto start every week, but Dallas Goedert has been very good lately as well. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We set our lineups once again for week 16 of the 2021 fantasy football season. We are in the playoffs, so we need to make these calls. Again, monitor the comments, monitor the description in case I change anything. I really want to get Miles Sanders in a lineup. Maybe I put him in some DFS stuff, but I think he's going to do really well this week. But I also think Ronald Jones is going to do well, and that's kind of the main guy I'm debating who to start between. And Joe Mixon, he's been good all year. It's just the matchup. He hasn't been great lately. Miles Sanders has been hot. I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyways, like I said, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out, and have a Merry, Merry Christmas.